At foundation level, we have Cloud Practitioner Certification exam. This exam will test your knowledge on some of the basics of AWS Cloud, security and compliance, AWS services and their use cases, some of the architectural principles, etc. The ideal candidate for this exam would be somebody who is coming from non-technical background and are willing to start their career in cloud, sales and marketing experts who want to familiarize themselves with cloud ecosystem and want to be able to effectively communicate with their clients, business leaders and managers who are not into technical stuff but willing to gain knowledge on cloud in order to make better informed business decisions. If you're coming from a technical background, like a system administrator, developer, or a security specialist, then you find little to no value in clearing this certification because for you this might be too elementary. On the other hand, if you're a fresher, this certification is possibly the only certification that you can aim at, because for all the other certifications we're going to talk about now might require you to have some level of experience in using AWS Cloud. It's not mandatory to have experience in order to clear these certifications, but you should note that all these certifications are there only to complement your work experience, but not to replace them. If you do not have any experience in cloud, and if you clear these certifications that we're going to talk about, then they add little to no value for your career. On the other hand, if you do have some level of experience in AWS Cloud, and if you want to prove your knowledge to the outside world, certification is where to go. Next, we have associate level certification exams, the first of which we're going to talk about is SysOps Administrator Associate exam. This exam is aimed at testing your knowledge on some of the system administrator aspects like monitoring and reporting, managing highly scalable and fault-tolerant systems, security and compliance, storage, data management, etc. And this certification exam is ideal for anybody who has experience in administering and managing systems on AWS Cloud, including deploying, managing, and operating highly available, scalable, and fault-tolerant systems. Next, we have AWS Solution Architect Associate exam, and this will test your knowledge on being able to design highly available, scalable, cost-efficient, and fault-tolerant systems, security and compliance, cloud migration and hybrid architecture, etc. And this exam is designed for individuals who have a technical background and experience in designing and deploying scalable, highly available systems on AWS Cloud. While both these exams cover some of the common topics such as security and compliance, the AWS Solution Architect Associate exam focuses more on design and architecture, while the AWS SysOps Administrator exam focuses more on management and operations. The ideal candidate for AWS Solution Architect Associate exam typically has experience in designing and deploying complex architectures on AWS Cloud, while the ideal candidate for AWS SysOps Administrator exam typically has experience in managing and operating systems on the AWS Cloud. Next, we have AWS Developer Associate exam. This exam would cover some of the developer-centric topics like IAM, or Identity and Access Management, compute services, storage, database services, developer tools, application integration, monitoring, logging services, API integrations, etc. And this exam is ideal for people with intermediate level skills in developing and deploying applications on AWS. You're also expected to have knowledge on at least one programming language, some of the DevOps practices, security and compliance, etc. Next, we have professional certification exams, the first of which we're going to talk about is the Solution Architect Professional exam. Professional certification exams require more extensive experience and is ideal for somebody who has deep understanding of AWS services, architecture, and best practices for designing and deploying complex enterprise-level applications on AWS. Unless you have experience in solving critical real-world problems, with deep understanding on cost optimization, deploying multi-tier applications, microservices, and serverless architectures, you really have tough time clearing the professional certification exams. The Solution Architect Professional exam is the next obvious thing that you want to aim at once after you clear Solution Architect Associate exam. We also have DevOps Engineer Professional certification and is designed for individuals who have experience in developing and managing applications on AWS platforms using DevOps practices and has good understanding of both software development and operations, as well as the ability to automate and manage infrastructure using AWS tools. In addition to services related to compute, storage, database, and networking, this exam is also focused on DevOps services such as AWS Code Pipeline, AWS Code Deploy, and AWS Code Build, to name a few. In addition to that, the questions would also circle around DevOps culture and practices such as agile development, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and continuous deployment are expected. Some people get confused between SysOps Administrator Associate exam and DevOps Engineer Professional. A lot of that confusion roots from the fact that they both share some of their responsibilities. But SysOps is more focused on code deployment and infrastructure management, while DevOps is focused on code development, DevOps principles and practices. If you have a clear job designation, then you can go with either of these accordingly. Or you can also go with SysOps Administrator Associate first and then take the DevOps Engineer Professional exam. Next, we have specialty certifications, and depending on your job designation, you might want to choose one of these. If you have a SAP background, then you might want to go with SAP on AWS specialty. Similarly, if you are a database administrator, then you might want to go with database specialty. Similarly, we have machine learning, security, networking, and data analytics. While the cloud practitioner is the cheapest and the easiest of all the certifications, professional and specialty certifications are toughest and also costs higher. In all likelihood, your company might be sponsoring the certification exam for you. You might want to inquire about it. If you do not have a clear job designation that would match with any one of these certifications, then you might want to default with Solution Architect Associate exam, which is also the most popular certification exam. The process of learning and preparing for AWS Solution Architect Associate exam itself will expose you to AWS cloud ecosystem. One thing I should also mention is that although technically you can directly attend professional or specialty exams, I might recommend you to first clear associate level exams, only then try to attempt professional or specialty exams. Because both professional and specialty exams are really toughest to crack, by clearing associate level exams, you might gain that confidence and get used to the kind of questions that were being asked in the exam. Also, please evaluate if you really need to even clear certification exams. In certain countries, like in India for instance, very rarely would anybody expect you to have any of these certifications done. On the other hand, if you talk about US job market, a lot of job postings would ask you to have one of these certifications done. Also, if you're working for a service-based company, then your client might actually be asking for you to have one of these certifications or expects you to have these certifications, in which case your company might sponsor your certification. Do inquire about it. You don't have to shell money from your own pocket. If you like the video, do like and subscribe, and also check my other video on the same topic. Link is in the description below.